Did you betray the public trust?
Absolutely not, Chris. And when all the facts are known, of course, prosecutors take out snippets of a story to make their case. We will have an opportunity in court to make the entire case, and when all of the facts are known, I know that I will be vindicated and we will win.
Senator Bob Menendez, Democrat of New Jersey, on Fox News, saying he will be vindicated. As we welcome you back for Hour 2 of America's Forum, I'm J.D. Hayworth. The senator facing a 14-count indictment with charges ranging from bribery to corruption. But he claims he will be able to overcome these charges once he gets the chance to tell his story to the jury. Joining us now for an in-depth analysis of this case, Harvard professor of law Alan Dershowitz. Also joining us this hour, conservative strategist Jack Bergman from Newsmax Washington. Alan, there's been a lot of talk that Senator Menendez was targeted because of his opposition to the Obama administration's decisions on Cuba and Iran. Do you think that's the case?
I don't think we can ever psychoanalyze or look at the motives of people. I do think that it's a prosecution that reminds me of the prosecutions that failed in the past. SB John Edwards, Ted Stevens, Tom DeLay, and I think Governor Perry, which will also fail. The problem with these prosecutions is that federal law requires that there be a quid pro quo. That is, that there be an actual handshake agreement, essentially, that says, you give me the money, and in exchange, I'll get this particular thing done for you. When you have old friends, and these guys have known each other for, 20 years, and they exchange favors. I'll help your girlfriend get a visa. Yeah, I'll go on your airplane. You help me get a hotel reservation on your frequent flyer in Paris. That just doesn't sound like the kind of quid pro quo. And it also opens the door to prosecutors to pick and choose which legislators they will go after. I mean, you could get 30 or 40 senators based on this, and congressmen based on this theory. It gives prosecutors too much discretion, and it opens the question that you asked. Was it done because of his political opposition to Iran, Cuba, and some of the other things? We should never have to ask that question, because that is so dangerous if the executive were to go after legislators and try to punish them by criminalizing political differences.
I'm going to let Jack get in here for just a second,
Alan,
but
Jack
first,
Berkman
Alan,
here. Let me ask you.
Go ahead, Jack.
No, sorry, Alan, Jack Berkman here. Let me just ask you a quick question. Aren't you struck by the timing of this? I mean, I know you can't psychoanalyze, but the hammer came down on Menendez literally just days after the Netanyahu speech and the whole affair. I mean, isn't this just so blatant in terms of its politics?
Well, the problem is that these decisions are made by prosecutors who, some of them are career prosecutors. I don't know that it went all the way up to the White House. It probably went up to the top of the Justice Department. So there's the aura of politics, but I just don't know. I mean, you can infer from it, but I would stay away from trying to analyze the motives, and I would say that this presents the potential for abuse by the executive against the legislature, and that's why it shouldn't be permitted.
And speaking of that abuse, specifically, Alan, will it constrain the legislative branch from serving as a check and balance on the president?
Absolutely. If you know that any congressman, any senator can be investigated and prosecuted for taking gifts or taking PAC contributions and then doing a favor for somebody who did it. By the way, what do you think people make contributions? They want favors. They want to be appointed ambassadors. They want to have access to the senator or the congressman. So it's so easy to bring these prosecutions. Yes, it will constrain legislators. They'll say to themselves, why take a chance? Why take a risk? My whole life could come crumbling down if the executive decides to go after me. So better to play ball with the executive than risk the wrath of being prosecuted.
You know, Alan, isn't it the case? I mean, if you look at this stuff, couldn't you bring this kind of prosecution against any one of 200 members of Congress? I mean, anybody, you go to a markup on the Hill, you see a bill being marked up, you have 100 lobbyists outside making contributions. I mean, you could, like you say, it's hard to establish a quid pro quo. Aren't there just so many members you could bring this kind of prosecution against?
30 seconds to answer, Alan.
It doesn't have to even be a current member. It can be somebody who made contributions in order to get an ambassadorship or in order to get any other kind of political appointment. This happened from the time of Washington, Jefferson, and Adams. And the idea that we make it a crime without changing the law and giving notice in advance to the legislature is unconstitutional in my view, and certainly unfair.
Alan Dershowitz, we appreciate the time and you setting forth the very real challenges prosecution is going to face as they deal with the notion of quid pro quo, or something for something. Our thanks to you, sir, for joining us via telephone from Massachusetts. And Lanny Davis will join us as America's Forum continues here on Newsmax TV.